Today is the end of week one of my marathon training plan, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through my marathon plan, the ones that I use for all my marathons and all my half marathons. Those medals that you see back here, those are all half marathon medals, and those back over here, those are my marathon medals. And for a while, I decided that I wasn't going to do marathons anymore, because if you didn't realize it by now, marathons are not just twice the distance. They exponentially increase in training. It's a lot harder to run 22 miles than it is 12 or 13 or 14. So, in fact, you can get by on a half marathon running 9 miles. So anyway, this is the plan that I use, my spreadsheet. I put it together. I'm actually going to put a link to it in my description, so you can actually get it and use it, whatever you want to do with it, and use it if you want. And I'll just explain what I do here. So I go about a 20-week plan. This one says 19 here. I started on 5/31 with the plan, and as you can see, I do 6 miles during the week, 6 miles, and then 10 miles on the weekend to start with. That's my long run. So 22 miles in the first week. And over here you'll see kilometers, because I like to run with my Garmin set on kilometers, because sometimes I'll do run walks, and I find it easier to do like 900 meters run, 100 meter walk for a kilometer. And so that's how I run, and sometimes I just run in kilometers and just go, or whatever, but it's a lot easier for me to just use kilometers than it is miles. So I've got a translation table over here for kilometers. So you put in the miles and the kilometers will pop up over here. So then the second week is 6 miles on Sunday, then Tuesday, then Thursday, and then my long run on Saturday. You can see it's different from the week before. And the reason it's like that is because I don't run consecutive days. I run every other day, and that's because I'm 70 years old and I like that extra rest day in between my run days. Some people will say, okay, you need to run 4 or 5 times a week, so you run Monday, Tuesday, and then you skip Wednesday, let's say, and you do Thursday, Friday, and then you do a long run on Sunday or something like that. Well, I found that to be too much for me and more than my time commitment. So I run every other day, and what that does is it puts everything off. So, you have to run your long runs on either Friday or Sunday, and then the next one on Saturday, and then so on. So I've got my plan set up to run my long runs on Friday, and then my next week's long runs on Saturday. And so this plan goes along like this, because the reason I start at 6 miles during the week and also 10 miles is because that's sort of my maintenance mode. Between marathons, when I'm not training, I'm still running, but I run 6 miles during the week on my runs, and I run 10 miles on the weekends no matter what. So that's like my baseline. And so that's why you see this going like this all the way up to about week 6, when all of a sudden I jump to, well, actually week 5. Oh, no, let me back up a second. Week 3, I jump to 12 miles, but then my midweek stays at 6, and then I go back to 10 miles. You see how that goes? 10, 12, and then back to 10. And then I go up to 14, and then back to 12, up to 16, back to 14. So that gives me a little break in between every long run week with a couple of miles that I don't have to run. And it doesn't seem to hurt me, and it seems to actually make me a little stronger by doing it this way. So something to think about. And then in about week 7, it looks like I jump up to 7.5 miles in the midweek, and then my long runs. And then when I get down to week 13, I'm now starting to really get serious about things, and I'm running 9 miles during the week. And then I have a 20-mile run here, back to 18, and then my longest run is a 22-mile run, and that's 3 weeks out of before the race, and I taper for those 3 weeks. So I go from 22 back to 16, all the way down to 12, And then my last week is very little running, 4, 3, and then a shakeout 2-mile run. And then I go run Chicago. And my plan for Chicago is 3:55 this year. I did Boston and I ran 3:59.25, and that's got a lot of hills. Chicago's flat. Hopefully the weather will cooperate and give us some good cool weather when we're up there in October. And if that's the case, then I'll get 3:55. If not, then it's going to be more. But we'll talk about that as we go through the whole training plan. I put out little reels or shorts every couple of days after my run, so stay tuned for those, and happy running.